In today's video, I'm going to be ranking the top 5 best karting tracks in the United States. Now, a quick disclaimer, I haven't been to every single track in the US, obviously, but I have been to quite a lot, so I'm going to be using my best judgment to come up with my list here. So definitely share your top 5 in the comments. So I'm going to be basing this ranking off of these 3 criteria: how enjoyable it is to drive this track, how good the racing is at this track, and the environment that it's in. So yeah, with that being said, let's get on to the rankings. So coming in at number 5 is Utah Motorsport Campus, also known as Miller Motorsports Park, located in Toole, Utah, just outside Salt Lake City. This is a really solid track, has a lot of great flow to it, a lot of great corners that flow into each other. It's very open, very wide and open. There are a lot of great opportunities for passing. As you'd expect from a national quality karting track, this track is really good for racing. There are a ton of places to pass. Now, I will say the only problem I have with this track is the location. While it is right next to a big car track, it's still kind of in the middle of nowhere. Pretty much in the middle of a desert, not too far from the Bonneville Salt Flats. As you'd expect from Utah weather, it gets so hot and dry here. When I went a couple years ago, temperatures got up over 100 degrees. That's also not to mention the crazy winds that almost blew us away. But yeah, all things considered, Utah Motorsports Campus is still a very good track, and that's why it's in the top 5. Now, coming in at number 4 is definitely one of my favorites, and it's definitely the most unique track on this list: Pat's Acres Racing Complex in Canby, Oregon. Now, this has to be one of the coolest karting tracks in the US, if not the world. It just has such a unique vibe to it. It doesn't feel like you're at a racetrack. It feels like you're at a national park. There's just so much greenery and nature here, and that's really what I love about it. Now, being from Washington, I have quite a lot of laps here, considering it's only like a 3-hour drive from where I used to live. And boy, am I lucky to have driven here. It is such a fun lap, starting with that crazy Banks Bowl turn. The 2 river corners, as they're called, are really satisfying to drive. Like when you hit it right and you hit that curb just perfectly, it's super satisfying going through there, very enjoyable. Also, the last couple corners are super banked and very hilly. It kind of feels like a roller coaster. Unlike all the other tracks on this list, this Pat's Acres is pretty tight, narrow track, like a bull ring. The kind of track that I learned to drive on. The racing isn't as good as all the other tracks on this list, but that just goes to show it requires a lot of skill to do well at this track. Now, coming in at number 3, we have a track that's just a little bit south of Pat's Acres, Sonoma Raceway karting track in Sonoma, California. This karting track is right next to the big car track, the Sonoma Sears Point, as it's now called, I think, that racetrack. It's right next to that, so it's a pretty cool atmosphere. It's a pretty cool place to be. Like, there are some garages near the pits, but the track itself is very good. It's a really cool layout. There's that cool tic-tac-toe section where you get air. Quite a lot of hairpins. They're super nice. The surface is great, and it's a pretty high grip track. What would be really cool if Sonoma got like a proper national race, like a SCUSA or USPKS. I just think it would be really cool to have a West Coast national race, apart from Las Vegas. But I definitely think this track is good enough, and it's one of the best tracks I've ever driven. So number 2 is actually my new home track, and that is Trackhouse Motorplex in Mooresville, North Carolina. You guys knew this was going to be on the list. I mean, I have so many videos from this track. It is just great. It has probably one of the best club series in the whole country. The sheer competition is just so good. So many great drivers come from this track. But why is that, you may ask? It's based on the Cartodromo Parma in Italy. It flows super well. Probably my favorite part is the chicane. Going through that is pretty cool, and passing through there is also pretty fun. This track definitely requires a lot of skill. There are a lot of off-camber corners and some double apexes as well. It's a great track to learn, and probably the best thing about this track is the racing. The racing here is amazing. And part of what makes it so entertaining is that you can hold the outside here in some of the corners, such as like the hairpin. Coming out of the hairpin, you can hold the outside. The last corner, it is possible to hold the outside here. There is quite literally never a dull moment at this track, and that's why it's at number 2. But I just think there's one more that's a little bit better. If I had an unlimited budget and I wanted to build a karting circuit, I'd probably build something like Newcastle. Located in Indiana, just about an hour or so away from Indianapolis, Newcastle is a brilliant track. There's really not much more to be said. Driving this track is just so fun. The straights are so long, so there's quite a lot of drafting, but there are also like a ton of very nice sweeping corners, a lot of hairpins as well. So this track really has everything. It's got those 90-degree corners as well at the end. There's so many places to pass. Again, like Trackhouse Motorplex, you can definitely hold the outside on this track a little bit more and get away with it. And if you thought the original layout was nice, you haven't seen the ski jump yet. Yup, there's a whole back section of this track that has this crazy corner where you basically get air. It's kind of like the corkscrew, but much faster. The facilities are amazing as well. There is really nothing bad about this track that I can think of. That's why it's my favorite track that I've been to. Anyway, that's my top 5 picks for the best karting tracks in the United States. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely share below what your favorite karting tracks are. Anyway, if you enjoyed, feel free to subscribe. I'd appreciate it a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next one.